Hello everybody, I am Mike from the Rewatch Project and I am a Trekkie watching classic Doctor Who for the first time. We have reached the second part of the Edge of Destruction duology, I believe this one is. This is the episode titled The Brink of Disaster. We're going to be watching and reacting to this first time view. A couple of quick bits of housekeeping. First of all, I appreciate all the commentary on the YouTube comments. Please keep them coming. Like, subscribe, all that usual YouTube bump. Quick other little note. The video that I did for the 1965 Doctor Who and the Daleks Amicus film, starring Peter Cushing, has unfortunately been blocked on YouTube. I did appeal this, but failed the appeal, and I don't want to risk a copyright strike by pursuing that any more aggressively. Any advice anybody's got about these things would be really appreciative. My feeling is I did keep within fair use. I made sure that I kept the clips from the film to an absolute minimum and only included sequences that I was narrating over. But you win some, you lose some. And it does seem that because that was produced by Amicus and not the BBC, that maybe the copyright is managed by a different organisation who perhaps have more stringent guidelines. So apologies that's not there. It's a bit of a bummer, but at least it seems that I'm managing to get most of these, well, all of these BBC episodes from the original run through. The majority of them are getting hit with copyright claims, but when I dispute them, they are getting released on the understanding that I don't monetize them, which was never really my intention. I just do these for fun anyway, so there it is. But anyway, let's get on to part two, the second and final, I believe, part of The Edge of Destruction. Let's watch this episode of Doctor Who right now and see what we think. Yeah, I mentioned before that the music and the TARDIS environment and all of the accoutrements of Doctor Who must be tremendously comforting to people who grew up with this, particularly, because of the longevity of the show. So I do wonder, is there Doctor Who ASMR? White noise machines that play Doctor Who sound effects? I can imagine that being a thing. Brink of Disaster. Here we go.
So it was you.
Oh, Ian. One of your better moments, mate.
Well, help him.
Help him? You saw him? You saw what he tried to do?
But now he's fainted, just like Susan did.
She didn't faint. It was you that told me she fainted, and I very nearly believed you.
Oh, isn't.
It's hard to tell when the Doctor's acting out of character.
Something terrible's happening to all of us.
At this point.
Not to me. Nothing's happened to me. This is a plot between the two of you to get control of my ship.
Oh, that isn't true.
Can't you
Okay,
see
maybe
I found you out?
he's not
Why
acting
won't
like
you
himself.
admit it,
Yes. Why don't you? Susan.
Yes, she's definitely not acting herself. Be careful, Ian. We're about to show a little bit more than
Help me.
is acceptable at tea time.
You lost your memory, and there was this terrible pain at the back of your neck. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's true.
It's coming into focus a little bit now.
They must be put off the ship.
No, you can't do that.
I can and I must.
But you can't open the
Oh,
doors.
dear.
Don't underestimate my powers, young lady.
Look,
Whoops.
Grandfather, you've no means of telling what's out there. There may be no air.
Remember?
Why are you so suspicious
The
of
ship.
us?
Do they continue calling it that?
Place, young lady. And you
I don't think of the TARDIS as a ship.
You have to help me, Barbara.
Yes.
You have to help
Oh,
me,
look at
Barbara.
that great scheming face.
I'll be all right when
Do you
I
play a
get
lot of villains,
outside.
like heavies, as they used to call them? I can
He
imagine
doesn't know what's happening. I
him
won't
playing
let
a
you
really
do
good
this.
hard ass.
If, of course, they'd like to confess to me what they have done to my ship, can you imagine what would happen if the whole of it lights up?
It would not be good.
You're not to blame. All four of us are to blame.
Look at him. This is what's great about
All
Hartnell.
right. We're on the brink of destruction, so that all four of us must work closely together. We must
These
find out
heightened
where we are
moments, it
and
must be
what
so
happened
difficult
my
to get
ship.
that dialogue out.
Why did you say
You're thinking about what you've got to do next.
brink of destruction?
And hitting your
A strong
marks
force
as well.
works somewhere which is threatening my ship.
Total disintegration?
Precisely. We haven't crash landed, otherwise I would have discovered that immediately.
I love science fiction.
And I don't believe there's an evil intent.
Oh, what is there?
You don't get lines like total disintegration in Coronation Street.
It's definitely every quarter of a minute.
What does that prove?
I also love bottle
We had
episodes,
time
using
taken away from us, and now it's
pre-existing
been given back
standing sets to tell a
because
theatrical
it's
story.
running out.
You always get great character building on those sort of episodes. Some of the best Star Trek is bottle episodes. Season 3 of Star Trek Picard is bottle season, and it's the greatest thing the show's done in 30 years.
I thought it only moved when the power was on.
Ian's got like an Arthur Dent quality in this episode with his attire.
Oh, what made it move? The source of power. You see, when the column rises, it proves the extent of the power thrust.
Then
Oh,
what would
okay.
have happened if
Didn't know that.
the column had come out completely? Well, the power would be...
Stacked
Can it be
actors
possible
in the
then?
frame. Here.
That this is the end?
The end?
All acting.
What are you talking about?
We
Bit of a
have 10
defeatist,
minutes
isn't he?
to survive.
Oh, it's going to be real time, like 24. How long we got? Yep. Pretty
As
much.
little as that?
Maybe less.
Oh, get to it.
I think
Come on, Barbara. Figure it out.
perhaps we've been given nothing else but clues.
What do you mean, my machine can't think?
You say it has a
Ooh,
built-in
okay.
defense mechanism?
Yes, it has.
Well, that's where we've been wrong. Originally, the machine wasn't at fault, we were. And it's been trying to tell us so ever since.
A machine that can think for itself?
Yes.
Is that
Very
feasible?
timely.
Oh, think not as you or I do, but
AI.
it must be able to think as a machine.
Pretty radical idea for
Yes.
TV in 1964.
Yes.
Well, then,
There's no hope then.
I can't see any.
Very gallant.
Will you face it with
Protecting
me?
the ladies.
what are you two talking about?
Oh, England. I think maybe that's part of my nostalgia here of, you know, I mean, I never really watched Doctor Who as a kid, but it was always around, so it very much reminds me of England. Having moved to New Zealand, it kind of feels like a nice connection back home.
Nothing but space! It's all right, Susan.
I'm with you, Susan. I'll be reacting exactly the same way.
The defense mechanism stopped the ship, and it's been trying to tell us so ever since.
So is the ship alive? The TARDIS, sorry. I'm going to stop calling it the ship. I don't like calling it the ship.
I know.
Oh, that's a great shot.
I said it would take the force of a total solar system to attract the power away from my ship.
Going to use that as a thumbnail.
We are at the very beginning. The new start of a solar system. Outside, the atoms are rushing towards each other, fusing,
good stuff.
coagulating, until minute little collections of matter
Music,
are created.
the framing, Hartnell's performance.
And so the process
It's all
goes
delicious.
on and on until dust is formed.
Lights behind him. Really.
Dust then becomes solid entity, a new birth,
He's teaching the kids in the audience.
and its planets.
Wonderful. Again, modern audiences will criticise him for flubbing the odd bit of techno babble, but this is where it
The
counts.
machine to take us to. Think, Doctor.
It's come off the base. Wait, there we are. We'll take it.
I love the label. Fast return.
Luckily, we can turn it.
Got the Sharpie out on that.
Oh, it should work. We're quite safe now. But it was a narrow squeak.
There's too long left on the episode. It's got to be a snag.
Grandfather?
Yes, my child. The light comes on. And it only stays on so long as my thumb is pressing that switch. As soon as I take it off, a little
I love it.
spring
I love the
inside
level of
releases
explanation.
the switch here, and out goes the light.
See, I don't think this is necessarily
Well,
an
I think
educational
it's
show
very
as much as the fact that it's
nice.
about education. Maybe that's why there's this slight combative discourse in the fandom from what I've seen.
When I thought he was going to attack you, even I was against him.
They look bummed out.
Yes, well,
Don't bother to say anything, Doctor. You know, there are times when I can read every thought on your face.
really? Yes. And I always thought that you were a
Us
young
too.
man without
It's
any
Hartnell.
recrimination in you.
Aw, how nice.
Well,
Barbara's not having it though.
you, young lady, well, we all owe you our lives.
Here, here. Well played, Barbara. Come on, Doctor, make it right.
As we learn about each other, so we learn about ourselves.
And there it is.
Because I accused you unjustly, you were determined to prove me wrong. So you put your mind to the problem, and luckily you solved
Is
it.
he learning about himself though as well?
Oh, please, yes. Do open the doors, will you?
Educator, learning from the student.
Oh, by the way, Susan has left you some wearing apparel for outside. You know, we have a very extensive wardrobe here.
Yes, she gave me these.
Yes, I think they're...
I was wondering when they're going to address that.
You know, you're very valuable.
Oh, this is delightful. You can have real charm as well, can't he? And Barbara's great in this too.
Oh, great.
Oh, very chic.
Oh, he's got rid of the cardigan.
Well, I think that's absolutely splendid, Chesterton. Yes, it suits you.
Yes.
It was a trifle too
Wow.
big for me. You know, I acquired that ulster from Gilbert and Sullivan.
Oh, really? I thought it was made for two. Well, shall we join the ladies, Doctor?
Why not?
Grandfather? Look! Look at this huge footprint. Must be made by a giant.
Oh, okay. A monster. The roof of the world. I think we might be moving into one of the Lost series at this point. I can't remember specifically, but that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that two-parter. I mean, it was a bottle show. It was, as I mentioned earlier on, a bottle show is a device used by productions when they're running low on budget, which I'm assuming they were here after the set design and the mechanics of the Daleks. And of course, the first serial, that would have been expensive because they would have to have built everything, the reusable set. So that would have had quite an outlay. So this was very much, the radio play, static set, pre-existing standing sets, written to be that cost-cutting. And there's moments where it shows. There's a little bit of padding here and there. And some of the, the over-explanation feels a little bit strange. But they had the sense to make this just 2 episodes. And also, I think it was great to spend a bit more time in the TARDIS and kind of really solidify the sort of iconographical significance of that environment and some of the rules, I guess, and some of the terminology around that. But also, it was just really nice to see some of these tensions in the group dramatized and somewhat resolved, and seeing them enjoying themselves. And there was just such delightful performances, and there was some great Hartnell in this episode as well, or these episodes as well. So really enjoyed those. So looking forward to getting on to the next one. I'm not sure which episode I'm doing yet. I think, is it the Marco Polo storyline next? So I'm still a little bit undecided as to whether to be completely completist and watch the fan-made. I think there might be reconstructions of those, or whether to skip that and go on to the next one, or maybe whether to watch that but not cover it on this. I don't know. I'll take guidance, but I might end up just tossing a coin on that one. But for now, I really appreciate you checking me out. Also, take a look at the Rewatch project with Hannah and Mike. And on that, I mean, it's probably worth mentioning that one of the things about these bottle episodes is they can really contribute to a show in ways that I think people don't give them credit for. Star Trek is a great example of that. Like the older shows, like Star Trek The Next Generation, would have sometimes 25 episodes a season. So there'd be a lot of kind of adventure of the week. And my wife would always joke about how when the shit hits the fan on Star Trek and they fight the Borg, it wouldn't have as much resonance if we hadn't had a silly comedy episode with Riker in his blue pajamas playing trombone. There's these kind of episodes that people sort of make fun of for being superfluous, but they're the things that add to the sense of the familial, the sense of spending time with the crew and really getting to know them. So you do actually care and you are invested and you understand the performance nuances of those characters when you do get a big epochal storyline. So I think that's really important. But yeah, so thanks for watching. A quick reminder that I appreciate feedback. The best way to do that is you can either email rewatchprojectpodcast@gmail.com or just leave comments on the page here. And also, please do check out the Rewatch Project with Hannah and Mike, the main audio podcast on this feed, where we do rewatches of our favourite genre television shows. Audio only on that show, but please do check it out. We're covering Twin Peaks at the moment. We've covered Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and we do lots of little bits and bobs there. And I think we're going to be doing Babylon 5 next. So, yeah, take a look at that, and I will see you soon for whichever episode of Doctor Who the hive mind in the message boards and the aforementioned coin toss lets us know to cover. So, yeah, see you soon.